to the world will know each other by our love, and I really don't know what it is, but George Floyd and his murder just showed another thing. The church does not appear to look like the light and salt of the earth.
He did what? Daddy changed the word.
George Floyd's 6-year-old daughter Gianna already knows the impact her dad has had on the world.
Again, there has been no contact between protesters and police, as the crowd has, for the most part, remained very peaceful. Organizers say it was important to come out today to show that the message still lives on despite the recent violence.
Hey guys, this is James with This Beautiful Crazy Life. If you are new to this channel, this is where we discuss politics, theology, religion, media, and everything in between from a Christian lens. And what I want to talk about today is the murder of George Floyd and the implications it's had on the American church. If you're not sure where I'm sitting, I'm sitting in my bed. I am sick. I've been sick for the last 4 days. I've been sleeping a lot, sweating a lot, been in just the worst headaches, and I'm waiting for my COVID test to come back. Because I think it might be it. I think I might have got COVID. And if I did, it is definitely not recommended. And if I have something else, whatever this says, not recommended. But even though I'm tired, I really want to talk about this. So guys, if it doesn't make complete sense, I'm not going to lie, my brain feels a little foggy. Just roll with me here. But I think this is important to have because it's observations I've had about how the American Protestant Church has responded to George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, critical race theory, all those big buzzwords from the death of a person that no one knew about until recently and has become unintentionally a martyr for a broader cause. And it's really sad. I mean, that video is terrifyingly sad. This man, in my opinion, did not deserve to die. It's, you know, this was very harsh treatment, and the implications that it had politically, I don't think anyone could have seen. But as you guys know, America's had a racial divide for many years, and over recent years, and because of the internet, these divisions are becoming more clear. And the American church is having a hard time with any type of unifying message at all, because this is one of the biggest issues of our day, is the role of racism in America. And how the American church has responded has been not very good, right? You have these sort of two strains of thought, where one is, especially in the predominantly black churches and other type of streams from all different types of camps, you know, whether the gospel coalition, like racism is real and we should take care of it, to the much more kind of liberal view you'll find in some Christian circle where America is just fundamentally racist and needs to be completely torn apart, to the ultra conservative view where there is no more racism, it's just an individual thing and there's nothing we can do about it because it's just a sin issue. And because of these sort of different narratives that existed, we have not been able to reconcile and do anything about it. You know, all this did was turn into a debate about critical race theory.
Society in the classroom. One of the tools is critical race theory.
We had the immigration policy was shaped by white citizens. Whites could be naturalized citizens.
Have you heard about critical race theory? I'm guessing you probably
is the fact that many people, and I would say, from what I've read from Neil, have an uncritical race theory. What I mean by that is they have no theory on race. Like, they just assume that it's a category that's just as neutral as gender or class.
Group that the culture has said is bad, you're bad, whether you've done something bad or not.
A thing that most Americans never heard of until a year ago, and most people don't understand. Even the people against it definitely have a hard time explaining it, and the people who are quote unquote for it don't really, it's a mixed bag of different ideas. I mean, sometimes you get, strange corporate ideas, and people know there's a book called White Fragility and that Coca-Cola told white people to be less white. And then you have this sort of like just very strange responses around that. But the things that the church really did not talk about is the role government should have with its people. What have we played in this role of racism, and how can we do better? How do we help create a just government for everyone? Instead, it became a debate about Trump and Biden, Black Lives Matter, and all these other things that most people aren't really talking about. And in all honesty, doesn't really help anyone on the ground. You know, we should have been the first ones to come up with the best policing policies. We should have been the first ones to come up with the best economic policies. Whether conservative, liberal, Christians should be the one pushing this stuff forward, but no one's looking for the church for answers because the church is so divided. And we can have different ideas, but we're not even based in the same reality. Like, it's really sad whether it's like, well, systemic racism is either real or it's not real. And if you want to know my opinion, I believe in systemic racism. I've said that on other videos before. I've seen the effects of what can happen when you have certain policies targeting certain people for generations. But when you have someone else who doesn't believe that, it's very hard to reconcile those two ideas. And how can we actually work together? And are these caricatures of the two sort of streams? I don't think there is. I try not to use really wild caricatures. This is just what people are saying. These are what the intellectuals are saying. And I think most people who are lay people kind of think about it here and there. Maybe they'll say something like Black Lives Matter, or they'll make a post, but they don't have any real leadership or idea from the actual churches on what to do next. And maybe I'm the last person to talk because I don't know what the solutions are. I think police reform would help a lot. I think we need better relationships with police and poor communities, and better police relationship with Black and brown communities that have always felt ostracized by the police for years and years. I think that Black Americans, we need to be more patient with this conversation. We need maybe white Americans to really, I don't know, I guess listen a little bit more. I feel like sometimes when I tell my stories about experiencing racism, they just say things like, oh, that, you know, you probably misunderstood it, or you know, that I don't know about that, like, you really tell me police just pulled you over for no reason. And I don't know, maybe that is not even the right answer either. I'm not a theologian or a pastor, but I do think that our pastors and church leaders have really failed us on so many levels. And I think that's why no one goes to the church for answers, because we look just as divided as anywhere else out there. And I'm pointing to my window. You know, why go to your church pastor when he's going to talk about white critical race theory, when you just go to Donald Trump, who has actual power? Or why go to your Black church pastor? He's like, hey, have some patience with your white brothers and sisters, when you can have your political leaders say, these people don't want to do anything for you. They don't care about you at all. I've been thinking a lot lately about this idea of unity and what does it mean, and what does it mean to the world will know each other by our love, and I really don't know what it is. But George Floyd and his murder just showed another thing. The church does not appear to look like the light and salt of the earth. There's nothing that makes people want to come to us when they're in darkness, and there's nothing that makes them want to taste what we're offering of a well-seasoned world view. That's why I would say the reaction to George Floyd's death and murder from the American church was a failure.